Was Thomas Jefferson a pedophile? Yes. Was he a rapist? Yes. You know, I mean, is that what you're going like? Yeah. Yes. To be honest, you know, Thomas Jefferson right now would be on To Catch a Predator. His father-in-law, through his wife's dad, gave Tom Sally Hemings as a gift, saying, "Here's one of my slave babies that I made," and I'm sure he had some fun with her too before he handed it over to Tom.
Damn.
And then Tom started fucking her. And
yeah, but let's not look at this outside of perspective of history. At the time, this was what was done.
Sorry, I can't get these guys.
No. Listen, it's like in Greece, during the Enlightenment period, it was common for gentlemen to keep a boy, and the younger the better. This was what was done. They were all pedophile. With the story of Romeo and Juliet, it's a 13 and a 15-year-old. These are not. Throughout history, we've taken what we've done basically in the last 200 years is actually made children older. We say now that they're children until they're 18 years old, when throughout history there have been, you know, if a girl wasn't having children by the time she was 13, she was considered barren.
But these guys, but to say, like, I understand slavery and what was going on, but I still think that slave owners, I mean, that these are rules beyond the unfortunate circumstance that we all use humans for our labor. I get that was going on, but to have sex with your slaves, have babies by them, and then give those babies as gifts to a guy who had 100 slaves, this is like, ooh, here's some fresh pussy I raised on my farm, wink, wink. Why don't you go ahead and take a little taste of this cantaloupe? Like, there's zero reason Thomas Jefferson to need a little girl slave, except that maybe his father-in-law, and then Thomas Jefferson's wife sat around while her husband fucked her half-sister. That's her half-sister. Sally Hemings was Thomas Jefferson's wife's half-sister, her blood. And yet...
Yeah, but she didn't look at it that way.
I think she did. I just think there's nothing to say. You have to just accept it.
No, that child came from the loins of a slave. It was not related to her, period.
Well, you mean just how they thought about it, or the?
Yeah.
I mean, because of course it was related to her. I mean, that was her sister, and so Thomas Jefferson was a big pimp. I mean, he was fucking his wife and his wife's sister in the house, having babies by both.
Took his wife's sister on a trip to France with him. Left her ass at the house.
Oh man, those were pimping days.
And when they say go back to the good old days, that's what they mean, Krista, Tana. That's where they want to go.
Yeah.
This was not an exception throughout history. The same thing happened in England for centuries. The same thing happened in France for centuries. The same thing happened in the Roman Empire for centuries.
Yeah, but this is always a result of dirty, rich, nasty motherfuckers do this and try to make it cultural. You know, with the Mormon polygamy, only the richest guys ever did that. Honestly, there was only like maybe 100 members that were commonly known to be out there, would take pictures with all their wives, and these are usually the paid dudes. It's like, I think it's wealthy people indulge themselves, and because people are so scared to confront the wealthy, just like we are today, that they allow this behavior as we shrug it off like, oh, well, that's the whole, look at Hollywood and cocaine and drunk driving and fucking around and all this. It's just, that's what they do. These are awful crimes that if our child was involved, if one of our family members, it would rock our worlds, and we'd need interventions and somebody, you know, people stealing money to buy coke. It would rock our world. But their world, since they can afford it, we just watch it from afar like that's what they do. That's what they're into. But it's still awful crimes. I mean, Charlie Sheen was beating women. But should he go to jail? Certainly no. Not if he has money. That would offend me, right? That's how we are in America. How can you put rich people in jail? We don't like that. We don't like rich people being in jail.
But this has been history. This is not new. This has been happening for the last 10,000 years. There has always been an elite class.
But when Jefferson, as far as his words and his rhetoric and, like, you know, writing so well and the Constitution, the wording is the bomb,
it's genius.
Doesn't that make him, you know, I guess you can write and do all that and still be a scoundrel, I guess, you know. Still say all men...
He wasn't a scoundrel. What he was writing didn't apply to women or slaves. It only applied to white men.
Yes, no, I know, but to say all men are created equal and then to not free your slaves, even after you die, you don't say let them go. What did he mean by all men are created equal? You're right, he had to mean all rich white men are created equal.
Now, in Jefferson's defense, I have heard that he, over 70 or 80 times, went to the Congress to try and present bills that would free the slaves.
Yes, he was the first abolitionist.
Well, guess what, Tom? Tina here never went to school. If you would have let your slaves go, they would have listened to you in Congress.
No, but that is no...
No, but wouldn't somebody just scoop them up?
Yeah, you can't... Literally, there
just
could not be free black people.
But just do it. But just do it, though. I mean, you still have to. You can't live with then they'll do this. Just say, look, I'm Thomas Jefferson. I ain't going to own slaves because this is bullshit. And I'm still in the government. I'm still in politics. Huh?
You can't do that. You have a bunch of illiterate people who you say, okay, you're free. Go ahead now. They have nowhere to go. They can't make any money. And as soon as they walk off your property, any other white person will snatch it. No, Thomas Jefferson freed me. They'd say, whatever, get on the bus. You're done. They don't have freedom. You can't give them freedom until it's law.
Well,
I would like that to happen. I guess if someone told me all that, said, man, if you're free, now I'm going to let you go. I'm Thomas Jefferson, right? Tana, you're my slave. I'm going to let you go. But here's what's going to happen. They're not going to believe that you're a freed slave. They're not going to let you get a job. They're not going to blah, blah, blah. You might get hung for running away. You're going to get caught up in all these shenanigans just because I'm letting you go. The environment still hates your ass, and it's going to be tough for you to get around and live. You know,
you can't get around and live. You cannot get a job.
What I would say, as I rolled up that rope and put it over my shoulder and grabbed that sandwich in a little duffel bag, thanks, Tom, but I'll try. I would still want that battle. I would still want to chase Harriet Tubman to where she was going. I would still go, I get it. I know. People hate blacks. I know. Motherfuckers, dogs and guns, they're going to chase me down. But I'd rather run free, right, than live safe.